Hello, welcome to Verbling. I'm teacher Oakley. And after a brief hiatus, it is once again time for the never-ending story. Okay, well, things are complicated, so we're going to have to refresh our memories here about what's going on with the never-ending story. In this class, students will take turns one at a time, each creating a sentence. So we're going to be working on our sentence structure, basic grammar and storytelling content, and try to, make your sentence have something to do with what came before it, not arbitrary sentences. We're trying to create a story, a little exercise in creative writing. Okay, Heidi, hello.
Hello, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. Heidi, do you remember where we are in the never-ending story?
Yeah, it's very complicated.
You do?
Yeah.
I don't.
Created a very, very long sentence.
Yes, it's very
good, I think.
Very
Two lines or something. Too long.
Well, we're going to revisit to see if we can all get up to speed before we can start writing. We have to know where we are in the story. Hello, Michaela. Hi there.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's very early. Michaela, you're an early riser, aren't you?
No. I have to go to the bed.
You have to go to bed?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. Heidi has somewhat of a clue. I think she has more of an idea what's going on than I do. So I'm going to do the screen share for our story. We're on chapter 2 here. But I got to give a little bit of background, and we'll read what we have, 2 paragraphs or something together to try to get up to speed. But first of all, chapter 1, just so you know, you have overall background. In chapter 1, there were 3 main characters. Basically, these 3 main characters, Fabio and Mario, who were brothers, fell in love with a girl named Edelweiss. A lot of crazy stuff happened, and basically there was a love triangle which resulted in a murder-suicide, and everybody was killed. Okay. Fabio and Mario and Edelweiss were the main characters in chapter 1. Suddenly in chapter 2, we've introduced all new material. Let's take a look. Let's see if we can actually figure out what on earth is going on with this story. Okay. Heidi, could you read the beginning of chapter 2 here, please?
The day was somber and the sun was sinking low. When from the border of the woods came Samantha, who had been living there since her childhood. Samantha met a handsome and strange man called Charles, and they fell in love. Charles was around 20 years old. However, Samantha was around 40 years old, so Samantha was ashamed of her love. Charles didn't know she was a mythological being, the sun's daughter, with the mission of bringing light to the places where he worked. Charles got married to her, so they were happy until he met another woman. Once he went to the depths of the forest for his job, and he met a beautiful girl, who was a wind spirit. He fell in love at first sight and didn't know how to tell her about it. As Eolia was a close friend of Samantha, she fled from the interior of the forest to the border and told her that Charles had fallen in love with Gaia, who had hidden the corpses and the souls of Fabio, Mario, and Edelweiss underground.
Okay. And one thing I've noticed, okay, you got the whole thing. I didn't realize it was one giant paragraph. Now, okay, one thing I've always noticed when we do this class, because this is a class we do once a week, I always notice that there's some mistakes when we look again. And one thing I noticed when we looked at this enormous paragraph is there are clearly some breaks here where it would be much better to create a new paragraph instead of one giant paragraph. Proper paragraphing we really didn't do. But this is a good lesson, and I was obviously there in the class, and I didn't encourage those proper paragraphs.
One student make a wrong the line sentence, so it took too long. Half of the time was spent for him. It's unfair.
Well, okay, I'll try to monitor that, but I don't know how much I can do. But, okay, I want to make a point here. So Samantha's ashamed of her love. Okay, wait a minute. So I want to make a point here. We have kind of a new idea. Okay, we have our basic background in the first paragraph, basic ideas, and then we've got a whole different idea. So they were happy until Charles met another woman. Okay, then we've got a different story. Suddenly it's a new story about how he met Eolia or whatever. That really needs to be a separate paragraph. So just a quick note. Two things to note. One, when writing something very important, whether you're writing a book or you're writing a really important business prospectus, or you're writing anything really important, sometimes it's a really good idea to stop what you're doing, put it away, go to bed, wake up the next day, and take a look at it again. Or another suggestion, have somebody else edit or read what you wrote, because another perspective when writing is always really always a good idea. That's the main point. And the other main point is proper paragraphing. Once you start talking about a whole nother story, once he went to the depths of the forest, you need a new paragraph because this is a new idea, a new concept. Okay. All right, so much for that bit of advice. Okay. Anyway, all right, so I guess the idea here, to paraphrase, this woman, okay, we got another love triangle. I don't know, you guys are awfully fond of love triangles. Okay, so, all right, we got Fabio, Mario, and Edelweiss again being hidden by Gaia. This is quite complicated, but as far as I can tell, Charles is married to Samantha, but he fell in love with Eolia. Eolia then told Samantha that Charles was in love with somebody else entirely. If you can understand that. Yeah. Mother Earth. Oh my gosh. All right. Very complicated. Let me quickly say hello to Alabek.
Yes. Good morning, Opie. Good morning, everyone.
Hi. How are you? Good to see you.
Thank you.
Again.
I'm fine. Me too.
Okay, Heidi.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? You're up first.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
The sentence was too long because the scene changed many times. Only one line, one sentence. So.
Okay. All right. Let's see.
We should separate into at least stories.
Okay. Was it?
Many people there are many people, right? Four, many names, very complicated.
It is complicated, but I don't know how we can uncomplicate it. She fled from the interior of the forest to the border where Samantha lived and told her that Charles had fallen in love with. Yeah, okay. All right, so maybe where we have commas is usually the normal place where you're going to, if you've got a sentence that's a monster and it's huge, and you really feel that you need to break that sentence into separate parts, the best place to start is to look at where you've got commas. Okay, and relative clauses that begin with who or which or where or when or relative pronouns, obviously, can always be changed back to the original, their relative pronouns, so they can be changed back to the original subject. So how about that? So what I did is I changed that.
Yeah, it's a much different story.
Okay, to help clarify and actually Heidi's advice is good advice. If you've got a sentence that's difficult to understand because it's just way too long, the first and most obvious editing you should do is to break it into separate sentences or smaller pieces of information, which are easier to understand for the reader. Okay, it's good advice.
Okay.
All right. Now what?
Samantha was very surprised to hear that.
Okay, very good. Oh, I always forget the first R in surprised. I didn't. I remembered. Okay.
Then she asked.
Okay, wait a minute.
Asked him Charles.
Okay, but wait a minute. Is this a complete sentence, or are we going to add a comma? And do you need a comma here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then she asked Charles if the story is true. If the story was true or not.
Okay. Okay, great. Logically, content-wise, this is basically probably the most logical possible sentence. Great. All right. As far as sentence structure, was very surprised to hear that. Then she asked Charles, I might suggest to you, as your friendly editor, that you might want to connect these two independent clauses with one of the compound sentence connectives. How about so?
So, yeah.
Because, okay, that shows consequence. It's more logical, and it works better grammatically. So she asked Charles if the story was true or not. A comment here about using if. This is not wrong. I don't have a problem with it. I just want to point something out in regards to English. Most English users, okay, we commonly use if the story was true. It's very common. I'm not even changing anything. I'm just trying to teach something here. It's very common if you're going to ask a question like this to use whether in conjunction with or not, whether the story was true or not. We often do that. It's possible in many cases to use either if or whether. Most native speakers use whether blah 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 or not at the end of the sentence because they want to express additional frustration, that it's a little stronger to show that the person was frustrated because they needed an answer. So, can you tell me if you went to the store, for example, in a question form? That's pretty straightforward, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I'm really frustrated because you're not giving me an answer, can you please tell me whether or not he went to the store?
Mm-hmm.
You understand? It adds a little bit more emphasis and shows frustration.
I thought if I use or not or something, I must use whether, but I check the dictionary. Sometimes the example sentence says if blah 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 or not.
Yeah, it can't. Like I said, it's not wrong. Your answer is not wrong. I just wanted to make an English point here because I have the opportunity to teach you guys something. That's all. Just using the teaching points you guys give me. That's all. No problem. Okay, very logical as far as the story though. So I'm excited about that. Michaela, guess what? It's your turn.
No. No, I can't. I have to see to listen more because I.
Okay, you need to pass. All right, you want to pass? Okay, you can pass. All right, that's fine. Alabek, over to you. Alabek?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi. Okay, great. All right, your turn to create a sentence.
According to this text.
Yeah, of course. Yes, we're writing a creative story, the never-ending story. So, yeah, it has to be in context. You have to try to match the story. What might happen next? If you're confused about that, consider this. Just basic strategy in writing, just real basic in general. The way English language works and sentence structure works is you have subject, verb, new object, new information, and then you use that object, that new information as subject, verb, new object. And then you use that object as the subject, verb, new object. Real general does not have to be this way. I'm not saying this is a rule, but a real general organization of English sentences, that's kind of more or less what we do.
Okay. As I can understand, this text is about love.
Oh yeah, sure is.
About the tragedy of love.
Yes, it is. It's a classic love triangle. Now, you guys, anybody who's seen a Hollywood movie at some point in your life, you've probably seen a love triangle. Two people in love with somebody or whatever. Yeah, you're right, Alabek. Anyway. Yeah.
So Samantha loves Charles.
Samantha and Charles are married.
Okay.
Okay.
So
but Charles had fallen in love. No, Charles had. Okay, and they were happy until he met another woman. He met a beautiful girl, Eolia, who, by the way, is a wind spirit. He fell in love at first sight. Eolia figured this out, I guess. So she went back to tell the wife, Samantha, a story that Charles had fallen in love with somebody else entirely. Okay. All right. So now Samantha is confronting Charles.
Okay. Samantha was very surprised to hear that, so she asked Charles if the story was true or not, and Charles didn't answer her.
Okay. Wait a minute. Let me just write what you just said.
Charles didn't answer her.
Now, whoops, not Charles. Charles. Oops. Okay. Okay. All right. Now wait a minute. Hold your horses there, Albeck. All right. Try. Okay. Here's another English, something very valuable to remember when you're writing English. Even though it may follow, because you're adding information now, and is a connective. When you're using these connectives, fanboys. Albeck, do you know what fanboys are? Do you know why did I write that? Am I crazy? It could be.
Yes, I know, but I can spell it by the words, by the for, and yes, not, nor, but, or, yes, yet, so, okay.
There they are, our fanboys. Okay, these are used to connect two independent clauses. Thus
Okay,
creating, yeah.
okay, maybe we should replace and by but. But.
Well, it wouldn't matter. It's the same. That but is also a connective clause. Now, we use these commonly to connect two complete sentences because they have similar idea, for different reasons. For to show the purpose and additional information, nor a negative and, more or less, but to show a problem, okay, all right, so they have different functions, obviously, but we connect two independent clauses. What I wanted to express to you is generally we don't use them to start a sentence.
Maybe we just remove it from the sentence.
Yeah,
and I mean,
we can. We don't need it.
Yes.
So that's exactly what I wanted to say. If you have a sentence where you started a sentence with one of these connectives, reread it. If it makes sense, if it completely makes sense without it, then it should not be there. Actually. All right. That's it.
Okay.
All right. So I'll save this for future reference down here somewhere. Okay. All right. Okay, so that's it. There are clauses like "and so," blah 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 blah. All right, there are times when we use these connectives as part of another phrase or clause, in which case they're acting as what's called a subordinator to make a dependent clause. In that case, it's okay. Just read your sentence. If it makes sense with it there, okay, it's supposed to be there. All right, so there are cases where it is okay, but the common thing to do is read it, and if it makes perfect sense without it, then don't use it. Okay. All right, that was all right, just making my educational point there. All right, Albeck, we're okay with that. Charles didn't answer her. All right. Heidi, it's back to you. Now what? Albeck dead-ended us. Oh, no.
So it's very difficult. Yeah. Didn't answer her.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I just expressed Albeck dead-ended us. Okay. Creative writing, what we're doing here, it's always good to leave options. Actually, any writing, it's always good to leave options, possibilities, things that could happen. All right. Unfortunately, this version of the never-ending story, people keep killing off the main characters. That's you're dead-ending yourself. There's nowhere to go. So, attempt to leave yourself options, so that there's many things that could happen instead of nothing that can happen. Okay, just some advice. However, okay. Yeah.
This is a very big problem for Samantha.
Okay. This, sorry, again?
This is a very big problem for her, for Samantha.
Okay.
So she visited Eolia to ask her more details. More details, is it okay?
Ask her for.
For.
Yeah. Ask her for more details. Okay. Well, good. All right. You've opened it up again to possibilities. That's the idea. Great. Okay, one problem, verb tense. We are telling a story here. The entire thing is a story in the past tense.
That's right.
Yeah.
Not this.
What's that?
Maybe I need to say that, not this. This is it okay?
This is okay here. My problem was what was is. This is a problem. Well, now we don't know, but it was at the time, so we need past tense. No, I think this is actually more appropriate. I think I have no problem with this. Okay, it was a very big problem for Samantha, so she visited Eolia. Did I? Yeah, let me just ignore. Please ignore Eolia. Okay. To ask her for more details. Okie dokie. Okay, Michaela, are you ready to throw in?
Can I read the whole text? Can I have the text?
Can you have the text? Yeah, I believe it will.
Or the
entire text is this.
No, entire maybe is too much.
Yeah, it is a ridiculously long story here, which has little or nothing to do with Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is basically a new story. These are new characters in Chapter 2. So, Samantha, living in the forest. Samantha met a handsome man named Charles, and they fell in love. Extra, not very important information. Charles didn't know that Samantha was secretly like a goddess. Basically, they got married, okay, and everything was good until he met Eolia, who was also some sort of goddess or something. She's a wind spirit. And there's a problem in our story. He didn't know how to tell her he was in love with her, but then suddenly Eolia, I don't know why, but she told Samantha that Charles had fallen in love with somebody else completely, Gaia, who you may know is Mother Earth. Okay. This part of the story right here is very strange because Eolia just suddenly, for no reason, knows that about Charles. I don't know, inexplicable. But anyway, I guess we can assume Eolia knows that Charles is in love with her. For some reason, she thinks it's a good idea to tell Charles's wife, Samantha, that Charles was in love with somebody else entirely. Okay, and now, all right, Samantha confronts Charles. Charles doesn't answer. Samantha now.
I didn't understand the corpse. The
corpse? Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. This is referencing Chapter 1. Fabio and Mario and Edelweiss were characters in Chapter 1 who were all killed. The only thing they have in common with Chapter 2 is that they all live on the edge of the forest. That's about it. So they're in the same area. The idea here, I guess, is Mother Earth being a goddess. You know how in mythology people wander around in Hades and things happen. It's not the end of the story when somebody dies. They go and they hang out with Hades. They hang out in the underworld. There's a lot of characters wandering around in the underworld in like Greek mythology kind of thing. All right. I guess that's the idea. I don't know. This could be important later. We'll see if somebody makes it important later. Right now, I think the focus is all about, right now, what you have to deal with is the fact that Samantha is confronting Eolia about her story. That's the immediate problem that has to be resolved.
Okay. Eolia disappeared. Okay.
Uh-huh. And
Disappeared.
Okay.
It was impossible to find her.
Okay. All right, hang on. Okay. Okay, now let's. What's that? Is that it? Is that your sentence?
Yeah. Maybe something else.
Well,
Samantha.
Okay. Well, hang on. Time out. Before we get any more into a tangled web, we have a little bit of a problem because it says Samantha visited Eolia. So, okay, you can't visit somebody who's impossible to find. So that's not logical. If I say I visited Michaela at her house,
you can go to the house and
nobody's there. Okay. All right. So before the visit, then I have to make this verb happen before the visit. So I would have to make it a past perfect. Eolia had disappeared. Okay. Now, what I have here, all right, subject verb, Eolia had disappeared. That's a complete idea. Here's another one. It was impossible to find her. I need to do something. These are basically, Eolia had disappeared. This is a simple sentence. Or we call this a dependent clause, independent clause. Here is another independent clause. I can't just stick two independent clauses together. That's impossible in English. I have to connect them. Do you have a suggestion? There are different ways for me to do this, actually. One is what I was just talking to Alabek about. Probably the most common is to just use a comma and one of those fanboys, one of those connectives. And it was impossible to find her. Okay? That's probably the best way to do it. Just so you guys all know, another way to connect two independent clauses is to use a semicolon. This is actually also correct. I can do this too. I can do it with punctuation. Okay, which one would you prefer?
And.
You know, that's the more normal one. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Are you done? It's okay to be done.
I can add something. like Samantha.
Well,
No.
uh,
I want to say that Samantha was looking for her and asked also to someone else if they know
okay.
near.
Okay, so you want to bring up another new idea that Samantha was asking people about where to find her. Yes, that's your idea. Now, okay, two things. One, again, you don't want to make too many different ideas in one sentence. You already have two ideas here. She disappeared. It's impossible to find her. You really don't want to be adding. So she went further into the forest. She was asking people questions. She talked to another person. You can't add 5 different ideas to one sentence. You gotta normally 2, maybe 3 ideas in a sentence is as much as you want to do. Back to basically what Heidi and I were talking about at the beginning of the class. It gets unwieldy, it gets difficult to read and confusing. I would suggest we just stop here. Now, my second point is you guys can talk to each other and suggest things to each other. You don't have to follow the suggestion. You might agree with the suggestion. Feel free, since this is a group effort, to discuss. Or, you can say, Alabek, I was thinking that maybe Samantha could talk to some other people about where to find her. Something like that. All right? Anyway, okay. All right? So, all right, I think you're good here. You've got 2 ideas, clean, clear sentence. We understand what's going on. So I'm going to throw it over to Alabek. Alabek?
Oh, yes, yes. So,
what
well,
now?
at first I have a question.
Sure.
Who created this amazing text origin?
Who? Well, Heidi's been in a lot of the classes, a lot of other people. Whoever shows up on the, for me it's Saturday, for the Saturday class, that's who. Students. I didn't. None of these ideas are mine. 0. All I'm doing is helping with the sentence structure. So, VerbLink students, to answer your question.
Okay. Yes, but I must say that this is not my common topic. So,
no
yes,
kidding.
Yes, so maybe I will do some mistakes, or
it's okay.
Yes, or it will demand for me more thoughts. So
okay.
Eolia had disappeared, and it was impossible to find her. I think that the main reason why she preferred to disappear was a fear that she become to be a reason of divorce between Charles and Samantha.
Divorce.
Or divorce, or she makes she caused for them a lot of problems. And actually, I think she was not so brave heart. So because she preferred to disappear, she preferred to run away.
Right.
Then she could try to improve this situation, or she could pick up the fighting, then running away, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an awful lot of information.
Yes,
I know your brain's
I mean fighting. Yes, I mean fighting for the heart of Charles.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so I know you're just brainstorming, and that's okay, and sharing your ideas, and as I said before, that's okay. So, all right. So, do you want to proceed now with the next sentence, explaining why Eolia ran away? Maybe.
Yes, I'm just doing
Okay.
some suggestion. Yes.
All right, that's great. So now, can you form a sentence?
Okay. So the main reason,
Okay.
uh, the main reason why she did so is the main reason why she did so
Hmm.
is a
That's
great
good.
fear. Is a great fear that she, she the main fear is that uh, that she could realize that she could realize she she brought uh, she brought a lot of troubles. She brought a lot of troubles for Samantha and Chris, or Charlie's, for Samantha and Charlie's.
Yeah, Charles. Okay, let's. Uh, all right, let's. Okay, let's. You got your concept here. Now I'm going to help you with the structure. All right. Okay.
Okay.
All right. The main reason why she did so. Uh, okay. Is I have no problem with that. Uh, all right. Okay. The main reason, that's your subject noun. Why she did so is a relative clause, but it's not a defining relative clause. We don't even need a comma there, or we need a comma after. We could have a comma after. Okay, is Alabek. Again, we're telling a story. So this is a past tense story. Okay, like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Actually,
Okay. Okay.
we don't need a comma here. I was right the first time. Okay, it was a great fear that she could realize she brought a lot of trouble. Uh, why she could realize? How about
Maybe we would do structure like was a great fear, uh, was a great fear that that makes her realize, that makes her, or made her realize that she brought a lot of troubles.
okay? How about wait a minute. What if we just get rid of this? I don't know if we need all that information. Was a great fear that she brought a lot of troubles. Now,
Yes, this is good. Yes.
before. Okay, again, I'm gonna suggest that you change it to. My goodness, you broke something.
Sorry.
No, you broke her coffee cup. Careful.
Yes, it is all about that story.
Yeah, the story. She got all broken up about the story and dropped her coffee cup. My goodness. All right, so I'm going to suggest Alabek past perfect. She had brought before. Okay, before she did so. Okay, so before did so. This refers to the fact she ran away. Before she ran away, she thought that she had brought. So one half thing happens before another. We need that past perfect tense. She had great fear that she had brought a lot of. Oh, not for a lot of. That was my type. A lot of troubles. Brought troubles. Alabek, in this case, this is a very common mistake. Trouble is usually uncountable.
Two. Oh, okay.
Yes, and you're right. Not four, but two.
Okay.
Two problems here. Okay. Uh, in general, in real life English, he's started a lot of trouble. He has a lot of. If we want to make it countable, Alabek, I have 3 problems. I cannot say I have 3 troubles. So we use the word problems when we want to talk countables. When we want to count them, we say problems. All right. So.
Okay, I see. Okay.
All right. You are correct, though. Good point. Brought 2, not brought 4. So yes, 2. You are correct. There we go. I think we're good. Okay, Heidi, back to you.
Who created this story? Like this? No one created this story. People
Yeah.
want to make some story, but every time other student betray.
Yeah.
So we need
Yeah.
to create another story anytime.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes off in different directions. But, as much as I would like you to understand that you should follow content and context.
Yeah.
Really, the point of the class is also to teach
It's
sentence structure.
my story.
Yeah, no, it's not your story. I never said it was. I said every verbaling students. Although, it is important to understand that you need to be following context. Really, the reason I created the class is so that I could help show sentence structure. So I don't really care. It's a crazy story. Actually, the one I did this last year for a period of about 6 months, and you should have seen that story. If you think this one's crazy, you have no idea. The one I did last year, the students were extremely inventive. There were zombies, the President of the United States, the Pope. It was just absolutely nuts. Anyway, this story actually makes more sense than the one I did last year. Okay, anyway, what can we do here?
Finally, Samantha realized she loved Charles so much.
Right, okay.
Then she decided to live with him. So much that she decided.
Okay, yeah. Do you live with him?
With him.
Okay, wait a minute. Finally, okay, finally, comma. Samantha realized she loves Charles so much that she, I typoed that she decided to live with him. Okay. Now, all right. Now here, this is just to point out. Here's a possible. Okay. It is possible that you might use this. Yeah, actually, no. You have to use this here because this is actually. Oh yeah, this is actually a connective because we have noun, verb, and then noun, verb. So actually, we need that here. Okay, wait a minute. She loved Charles so much that she decided to live with him. She would decide to live with him? Oh, or no? Okay, I guess it's okay. All right. Okay. Just trying to think if we need a future past. I don't know. It gets complicated. Okay, Michaela. Meanwhile, by the way,
um,
When you guys get really stuck, here's just I just want to say, meanwhile is very useful. If you want to really get stuck on what to say, you can always talk about what another character's doing. And a very useful way to do that, in this type of exercise where you're continuing a story, you don't lose track of that there are other characters and that you can talk about simultaneous actions and bring up a whole other storyline, plot line by using that very helpful and creative writing. Meanwhile, okay. Anyway, just saying. What do you want to do?
I want to talk about someone else.
Great.
So I can use meanwhile.
Yes, you can.
No.
Not only that, you can use a new paragraph.
Meanwhile, they.
Who else? Yeah. Okay.
I wanted to say they couldn't imagine that and invent something that happened new.
Okay.
But I don't know if meanwhile is good.
Okay. All right. Well,
They couldn't imagine that. They couldn't imagine that.
Imagine that. What? You can make up something completely new, or you could talk about Gia. Who is they? Charles and
they. Samantha and Charles.
Okay, that's who I would assume. All right, fine. All right, what could they imagine?
On the other side of the forest.
Okay. Great.
I don't know what invent because
anything you want.
I don't know the period when this story happened. Well, I don't know.
Well, clearly
I can't say everything.
Because we have goddesses, and earlier in the story there are werewolves and the Hulk. It is no time. It is complete and utter fantasy. If you would like to introduce space aliens or zombies or the president of Bolivia, it really doesn't matter. A pack of wild horses, George Washington, you name it.
Okay. Something with aliens, I would say.
Okay, well.
On the other side of the forest, one big light explodes, or was exploded.
What is your subject now?
The light, one big light.
One big light exploded? Okay.
Exploded.
Don't quite get what that means.
I can say, and someone.
Okay.
That's someone went out from this light, but they don't know who, how
Okay.
it is. A figure, but.
Okay. Figure what walked out.
Mm-hmm.
Walked out what? Walked out where? Walked out of... What? Out of the... Okay.
Help me.
Help you. Okay. Walked out of the what? Walked out of the void. Ah! How's that? Okay. Instead of one here, this is kind of awkward. We don't really do this in English. What we do is, that's why we have articles. A big light. A means one. A and the. That's what we use to show one noun thing happened or was. Okay, a big light. They could imagine that on the other side of the forest, a big light, probably, again, we want to use past perfect, had exploded, and a figure walked out of the void. Okay, after the light explodes, he walks out. So one thing happens and then the other, like that. Okay? All right? Well, that's
Yes.
an interesting... It's a very interesting place to stop because we're out of time. So, terrific. There we go. Dun, dun, dun. To be continued. Okay, well, great. Something weird is going to happen next week when we continue at this time. Save. Must save. Okay, I've saved your story. Hopefully, you guys can join me again next.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye. Goodbye, Oakley. Thank you.
Bye.
Next week. Okay, thank you very much. So long.